Market research and knowing your market is essential to your business's success. So we went and got Daniel Cohen from MTM Consulting to share with us his good habits when it comes to just that. So Daniel, you specialize in market research and knowing your market. So what qualifies you to be our guest expert today?
So MTM have been going for about 36 years now. We specialize predominantly in the education sector. We're going to be launching data-driven insights next month, which will be going into other sectors. But we specialize in data-driven, demographic-led market research. So very much understanding who your clients are, who customers are, the type of lifestyle groups they belong to, the shopping habits they possess, and then that gives the businesses the information they need to be able to really focus their marketing in the right way.
And traditionally, a lot of people get market research wrong when they try and do it themselves, especially. So what are some of the bad habits you see that businesses tend to do?
A lot of it comes from making assumptions and guesswork, and not actually going into detail and actually figuring out, is there a pattern? Are we attracting a certain type of customer? Does our product fit a certain type of client? Or is it broader than that? We see it a lot with shops opening in areas, and they've not done the research into the area in the first time. They think they've got a great product, and they think they've got a really good opportunity to break into that local market, but they haven't seen what's been there before them. They haven't done research into what their competition's like, and they don't know who lives in the area, and they don't understand what their lifestyles are and where they're going to be spending their money. So it's that kind of jumping in head first. So my second bad habit is not having a clear strategy. Certainly, I suppose it's almost getting strategy confused with goals to a certain extent. We see lots of our clients, they'll present us their business plan as part of the project that we're doing for them, and they'll have a number of things that they want to achieve, but there's no defined way of achieving them. So they'll say, well, we want to sell 300 units a month by such and such a date, which is a great goal to have if there's a market there to sell them to. But if you don't know how you're going to get to that point, then it's not a strategy. And there's a lot of confusion that we see that people don't actually know what a strategy is, and they don't know how to plan to ensure that they can reach their goals. So for a start, if they want to sell 300 units, are there enough people in that market that they're aiming at to sell to? Do they have enough staff in-house to be able to shift that many units from a production perspective, from a sales perspective, and all the other things that go into the melting pot and that go into that recipe to be able to actually make the business successful. So it's starting with that goal, understanding, well, this is what we want to achieve, but then how do we achieve it? And then start planning out each phase of that. So you've got an overriding strategy and you actually know what you're doing.
I would say a lot of businesses have that issue where it's like they make these it's essentially sticking your finger up in the air, isn't it? And just like guesswork.
Yeah, totally.
So actually putting into place, how do we achieve that? Like how many people do we need to be interested in this product? What's our conversion rates and all those things? And then you can come up with probably more realistic goals or a better strategy to achieve those things.
Yeah, it happens in every industry, big companies, small companies. Managers, sales managers will set arbitrary KPIs based on very little research, but then will expect their salespeople or colleagues to be able to meet those KPIs. And when they don't reach those KPIs, they start to ask the wrong questions. It's more a question about the staff not working hard enough, or issues with the attitude or the marketing, not did we set the right targets in the first instance.
So not setting realistic goals and having a strategy to help you achieve them would be a bad habit. I imagine that would lead on then to your good habits.
Yeah, that's understanding your market and setting achievable goals and strategizing off the back of it. And ultimately, wherever business you are, and whether it's retail, hospitality, leisure, you need to, if you're opening a shop, for instance, or an office space, and you've got rent and you've got the associated costs with that, before you start committing to that, you have to make sure that when you move into that area, you've got enough clients on your doorstep that are going to be interested in what you're doing and what you're selling. And if not, are people going to be willing to travel to you? Bearing in mind, you can do pretty much everything online now. And with what's happened over the last year, the way people shop is probably going to change drastically forever. We don't know what's going to happen to the high street when things start to reopen, it's quite clearly not going to be the same experience. So now more than ever, you really need to start understanding who you're selling to. Are there enough people? For a start, if you've got like a trendy pair of trainers, do you want to be opening up in an area where the majority of people are over 60? Or do you want to open up in an area where they're between sort of 18 to 26, and that's going to be a target market because those are the people that are going to be buying from you. So understanding that before you even open and before you start committing to money really will help you with your business decisions afterwards.
Are you surprised how late in the day some businesses come to you guys for sort of help and information? Because I can imagine now, I mean, I see it, some businesses are made like people around the table drinking. It's like, oh, I'm going to start a business, and they're renting premises in a month's time and they've got absolutely no idea. So I imagine it happens quite often.
Yeah, probably a lot of our clients, they're coming to us when it's almost a little bit too late. To a certain extent, they've opened or they've got a business that's been running and they're not hitting the targets they expected to hit. They're not getting the profits in they were expecting to. And then panic begins to set in. And then they start to take a closer look at who's been coming into their shop or not been coming into their shop, or who's been walking past the window, or the inquiries that have been coming in via email or phone. And then they think, actually, that's not what we were expecting. And then we'll get a phone call or an email saying, what can we do? How can we help them? But yeah, I'd say banks should be looking at this ultimately before they even lend someone like a business loan, to make sure that, I know they produce a business plan, but is there a market? The business plan may be fantastic, but you go one postcode away and it's not, because ultimately the people aren't there. But move one postcode in the opposite direction, it could be the best business ever.
That is really, really interesting. It goes back to that point where I said about targeting the right person. We made a conscious decision with the old business because originally we wanted to create resources and learning to help people that are unemployed find a job. And then we put the product at £40. The interesting thing was a £40 decision to someone that's unemployed is a big decision. So as soon as we then went, why don't we sell this to corporates for them to train their internal staff that are already in a job? They had a budget to buy that thing, so it was cheap at that price. And it was just a little shift where it was like, but if we hadn't realized that, that business would have failed and we would have gone, oh, that was a rubbish business idea. When in fact, the business idea was great. It was just the wrong market we thought it would work in.
Exactly. And there's so many easy ways to get around it, and a lot of the time it could just be as easy as talking to people and going out to panels of people at different age groups, different lifestyle groups, and saying, well, what do you think of this product? How does it compare to other products that you've used? How much would you be willing to pay for it? What features would you like to see? What features do you not like? And then you take all of that information away, combine it with what the local demographic is like, and then before you know it, you know whether your business is going to be successful. You know what you have to change, what's going to work really well, and then you can start to plan your strategy around that and your marketing around that, and really focus on getting it out and launched quickly and successfully, as opposed to assuming, going into it, opening your doors and then finding out, actually, this isn't what we expected, this isn't working, right? And then you start to panic, and the bank's on the phone saying, well, this isn't what we agree to, and before you know, you're in trouble. And it's not the right way to do things ultimately.
So if I'm listening to this now and I identify myself as one of those people, I'm not getting the kind of footfall that I wanted, or not enough traffic to my business that I expected, and I've not really done the correct type of market research, where could we find out more about what you guys do? So
you can send me an email directly. It's mtmconsulting.co.uk. All my contact details are on there. The DDI website will be launched in about a month's time as well, but that will be all across social media.
So thanks to Daniel for sharing with us his good habits when it comes to doing your market research. It's essential if you want a successful business to know who your audience is, where to find them, so they can find you.